Have you ever achieved anything that you thought would make you feel successful? Yet, when you achieved it, you felt incredibly empty inside? If so, you're not alone. I've watched countless people, including myself, hit goals that society told us was important, only to feel nothing, or worse, feeling trapped in a business or thing that they've grown to resent, chasing metrics that don't bring fulfillment. This whole idea of chasing something that you thought you should chase or somebody told you you should chase, but you do it and you're like, why am I doing this in the first place? A lot of people do this, and in the process, we postpone life while pursuing success. But whose definition of success are we actually chasing? The hidden cost of following someone else's definition of success goes far beyond wasted time. It creates a persistent feeling that you are never quite enough because you're measuring yourself against a standard that wasn't designed for you. It was designed by somebody else for you, or it was just something you arbitrarily picked. I'm Diego, Diego, and I talk about things that matter to me. Today, we're looking at the only question that matters, defining success on your own terms. I've been in business for a while, been involved in the entrepreneurial space for over a decade, and I've watched countless entrepreneurs build businesses that they hate showing up to. Influencers reach massive audiences while feeling incredibly isolated, and people in businesses climb that corporate ladder only to realize that they've sacrificed everything that mattered to them chasing success. The greatest danger isn't failing to achieve success. It's achieving what looks like success while feeling like a fraud. When those achievements that you're going after don't match your internal values. You create a life that looks impressive to others, but makes you feel hollow. This is something I wrote about and developed this video because I struggle with this. I go after things that maybe I think they're important, but they don't really align with the true me. So the big question is, well, why do you do that anyway? If it's not important to you, why are you going after it? And it goes back to these things of like childhood. Did somehow I feel inadequate because of a teacher, a coach, a parent, and now I'm just chasing these things that go back to that 5 or 10-year-old self, and I'm trying to make somebody else happy. Was there some sort of value instilled in me that just keeps me pushing for metrics of success that are metrics that would validate me with a person of respect, but they're not metrics that align with me? I think a lot about my mom growing up, and I love my mom. She was amazing. She did so much for me. But she was somebody that just had a different worldview than I did. When I look back as an adult of things she thought when I was a kid, we just don't see the world the same way. She was all about achieving success, and what her definition of success meant would be have a great job, make a lot of money. And I think she valued that because she grew up in a family that didn't make a lot of money. Her job, she didn't make a ton of money. So when she saw people that made a lot, that was very different than what she grew up with, and she assigned success to that. So she always pushed myself and my brother to be successful, meaning to get a great job, to stay with a company, to work your way up, to get, titles that meant something, an income that backed up those titles. And that was success. If you were a starving artist pursuing your passion, she would be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this in life? Now, I didn't want to go down that road because I knew if I did, that's the type of backlash that I felt. And as you grow up, if you respect your parents, you value what they think, maybe sometimes to a fault. And you assign what they want to you. You adopt it. even if it's not truly who you are. And I've ran into this problem. So I had a misalignment, and this misalignment just doesn't affect career satisfaction. It seeps into your relationships, your health, and even your sense of identity. You find yourself wondering, why do you feel anxious or unfulfilled despite having it all? When I graduated college, I had an amazing job, but I graduated with a degree that I didn't really want. And I only went down that degree path because that's the path my parents pushed me down. The thing that I really wanted to do at the time was get into finance. And I was going to switch majors in college. And they were like, whoa, what are we doing here? We are not switching majors. You don't need to do that. You don't want to do that. That's a bad idea in their mind. So I stuck with engineering, finished up, got my engineering degree. But deep down inside of me, I may have been a good engineer, but I didn't want to live my life as an engineer. I wanted to apply my skills in the world of finance. So as soon as I, quote, cut the leash, broke the chain, and got out on my own, I went back and got my master's in finance, even though my parents were like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Here I was. I worked for a huge company. I had an engineering job that paid, a really good salary for somebody who just graduated from college. And they had this worldview of that's what you do. You start at the bottom, you make some money, you work your way up, because that's how it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s when they experienced the bulk of their career. Work for big companies, work your way up, save for retirement, get a pension, whatever. That's what success means. Quality of life wasn't really a part of it. You're working for retirement. And now I think all of us have a much different view of the world. We look at things where, yes, I want a job that'll help set me up for retirement, but I want to enjoy my time along the way. And really, why wait to live until retirement? I want to live now. So when I had that job, I took it and I was like, I don't really love this. I eventually got laid off from that job, or fired, however you want to put it. And I went back to school full time, and my parents were just like, mind blown. Like, you're insane. You're squandering this opportunity. But when I got laid off, it was a huge sense of relief. And I finally felt I have the chance now to create the life path that I want to live. I could take control back and live my own life, not the life that they wanted for me. And this is, again, tough with parents because they want the best for their kids. I'm a parent. I have 3 daughters. So you're trying to mix your wisdom as a person of age and somebody who's seen a lot to help steward a young person along. But you have to just set some bumpers and help them, but allow them to make mistakes, allow them to live their own life. And my parents were more like, yeah, you can move forward, but it's inside this long pipe, the pipe that we created for the world. So that's always been tough for me. When you have this, the problem isn't your ability to achieve success, but you're pursuing the wrong type of success entirely. I discovered something transformative when I started thinking about this. When we define success from the inside out rather than from the outside in, everything changes. The goals become more meaningful, the journey is more rewarding, and the accomplishments are more satisfying. It's a push from within versus a pull from without. You're creating the life that you want to live from within instead of saying, this is what I have, let's fit my life into this. Part of the breakthrough for me came with 4 questions, 4 essential questions that when you answer them honestly, they can transform your relationship with success. The questions help me stop chasing hollow achievements and start building a life that I genuinely felt successful living from the inside out. Here's the new path. Instead of adopting external definitions of success, you'll create your own definition by answering 4 fundamental questions. If you've ever felt handcuffed by somebody else pushing you, or society saying you should go this way, or even you just chasing somebody else's success on Instagram, you can use this process to help design success for you. And it starts with question one: who do you want to be? This first question goes deeper than what do I want to achieve? Achievement it's a moment in time. It's a number on a piece of paper, or it's something that you can earn or acquire. Who you want to be is how you live all the time. Achievement is one moment. Who you want to be is all the time. This focuses on your character and your values rather than just singular moments, singular accomplishments. Psychology research shows that identity-based goals lead to more sustainable change than outcome-based goals. So this means if I set a goal, earn $100,000, that's very different approach, or getting that goal, it's a very different approach than if I say, I want to help people who are disadvantaged get jobs. Because that's what I believe in. You'll work harder to achieve the second one than the first one because it comes from within, who you want to be. It's not just some metric of something you're trying to go after. So when you focus on the type of person you want to be rather than just achieving a result, you create lasting transformation. I found personally that decisions based on who I want to be rather than what I want to achieve creates less internal conflict and more consistency in my actions. If I go back to 20 years to when I changed careers, I was laid off, making $9 an hour at a part-time job, but I was finally doing my thing. I left a job where I was making, I think, 60-something thousand dollars a year to a job that, run the math, $9 an hour, probably $20,000 a year, making way less. But I was so happy and so motivated to go after this new life because it's what I really wanted. This ties into question two. What does success actually look like? Society offers plenty of templates for success. Jets, fancy cars, fancy houses, boats, career titles, positions, so much money in the bank, you name it. But borrowing somebody else's definition of success is like borrowing their prescription glasses. The fit is all wrong. You put them on, you get all dizzy, you get headaches. They're not made for you. So find your glasses made from your prescription. And that means you have to take some time to define success on your own terms. You might discover it's going to look wildly different than you first thought when you really get down with yourself and try and figure this out. Maybe this goal of a successful life is flexibility in schedule. Maybe it's your hours of where you work. Maybe it's presence with family. Maybe it's about creating work that meets your own standards of excellence, regardless of external validation. Maybe it's being a starving artist and pursuing your passion. The starving part, you hate that term. If somebody's doing what they love, that's really what success should be about, not how much money they're earning from it. Brain science backs this up too. External achievements provide only temporary dopamine spikes, while alignment between actions and values create more sustainable well-being. You want to feel better, do what comes from the inside more often. But that can be really hard in society because this is question three: whose voice matters? We all have a committee of voices inside our heads: parents, teachers, peers, competitors, social media influencers. The trouble starts when we give equal weight to all these opinions. This is where I've found trouble in my life. I overweighted what my parents thought about my life when I got older. Finally, I had to say, look, I'll listen, I'll hear, but I make the final call. And eventually I've had to transition to not even talking about certain topics around my parents because it became too divisive. And I didn't want that. So there were certain things around career I just didn't even bring them in the loop on. I didn't want to talk to them about it. I didn't want to hear about their career. We just had two different views of the world. And when we came together, it was like oil and water, and controversy or conflict came there. And I wanted to keep that relationship loving and conflict free. So it's like, hey, these topics are things I just don't talk about. I wish you the best. Hopefully you wish me the best. Let's go our own ways. So I had to consciously decide whose feedback deserved my attention and identify whose perspectives were relevant to my specific journey and values. Back in 2016, 2017, I started a YouTube channel, which grew. And early on, I was hamstrung, really committed to making people who commented happy. And you quickly learn when you do that, that's a dangerous road to go down. So I evolved and eventually got to the point where I make the videos that I want. And if people like you identify with this content, great. If people hate it, okay, it's not for them. But I'm making videos that come from the inside. That's really what this channel is about. You're seeing me do work that I'm passionate about. If that resonates with you, awesome. If you hate this, well, don't watch. Make your own videos that resonate with you or find somebody else who's making content that works for you. So I had to make that conscious decision. And it was hard because we put a lot of value in what other people think. But research shows that the most effective motivation comes from trusted sources with relevant expertise and aligned values. So yes, other people's opinions do matter when we classify them as their opinion matters. If you're starting a business, you consult with somebody who has experience in that field versus just randos out there on the internet. So be careful taking or giving weight to random social media comments versus people who truly understand your vision. They know who you are as a person and where you're trying to go. My parents didn't really know or accept or care about who I truly was. They just said, go here. The part they missed is that where I actually wanted to go? So they had really good intentions, and so many people out there in our lives do. Achieve this. But if it's the round block and the square hole, it just doesn't fit. When I clarified whose voices matter to me, I gained a tremendous amount of freedom. And these days, the list is probably less than I can count on one hand. I do things that matter to me. And really, I listen to myself. I'll talk to my wife. My kids aren't really old enough to have a say in things or really influence it, but obviously I want to leave a good impression for them. And that's about it. I don't rely on what other people say, what the experts say. I do what I want, and I've done this long enough and made enough content to realize when you do that, some people will get it, some people won't. Hang out with the people who get it and make more good content. So that's for you, and thanks for watching. Question number 4 to ask. How will I check in and evaluate? Even with clear definitions, we need systems to evaluate our progress. Without regular check-ins, it's easy to drift off of course. There's many methods to do this, and I've tried a few. What works best isn't the format, but it's the quality of questions. So you want to ask things like, am I becoming the person I want to be? Does my day-to-day experience match my definition of success? Am I serving the people who matter most to me? What patterns have emerged that don't align with my values? When you feel like you're drifting or you're off course, ask those types of questions. Is this who you want to be? When I started this YouTube channel, when I write my newsletter, I think, okay, is this who I want to be? Is this the content I want to put out into the world? Check, yes. Does what I'm doing match my definition of success? Well, really, I publish, I get comments, and I get people saying, this matters to me. That's my definition of success. Not how many subscribers on this channel, not how many likes, not how many views, not how many people subscribe to my email list, which, if you want to do so, you can do so in the description below. I'm serving people that matter to me because I've realized that I can help people and they see the world the same way I do. That matters to me. And I feel myself getting off track when I start making content that I think might be popular and doesn't really align. So these types of check-in questions are really helpful. One key pattern that I've noticed when I changed is that success feels different when it's aligned with your authentic self. The work doesn't feel like a sacrifice because it's connected to what truly matters to you and who you want to be. I noticed this when I first started the podcast. If I only paid attention to podcast metrics, downloads, listens, subscribers, I'd be dissatisfied. But I realize the content, regardless of how many people it reached some people where that content made a huge impact on their lives. And that was awesome. That kept me going, and that's kept me going to today. I don't know how many people that is. I can't measure it. I just do this in good faith, knowing that this content really helps some people. Some is the key word here. I don't know the number. It could be 2, it could be 200, it could be 2,000. If I only focused on the views, the metrics, the subscribers, I would have quit a long time ago. When I think about my career path now, it's not about income. Sure, I need to make enough money to survive and save and that type of thing. But I look at how I choose what I do on the day-to-day of, do I love it? Do I love what the work does to the world? Who does it help? What contribution does it make? Where do I work from? Can I control my hours? Those are the types of things that matters. It's not about the number that comes in on the paycheck at the end of the day. And sadly, I think that's where a lot of society is. It's about status and income and that type of thing. But that will forever, I think, make you unhappy because, hey, I want to make $75,000 a year. You make 75 and you're like, it's not really enough. I wish I had made 100. And then you didn't make 100. Now you're all upset. Is somebody who's in their 40s talking to somebody who might be in their 20s, do work that can support a reasonable lifestyle and do work that just matters, that you love doing. And the rest will take care of itself. Money only gets you so far. You can never get time back. Time is an extremely finite resource. And when you do work that you love, you're using your time effectively and efficiently, hopefully around people you want to be around, doing things that matter. That is what matters. Money is great, but money doesn't buy happiness, so don't always chase that. Now, none of this is to say lower your ambitions. We don't want to do that. It's about making sure your ambitions are actually yours. The people who define success on their own terms often achieve more, whatever that means. They don't achieve less because they're fueled by genuine purpose rather than obligation. And I've done podcasting and videos and stuff for 10 plus years. I've made thousands of pieces of content. If I was chasing metrics, I would have quit a long time ago. Some people never start because they don't get enough subscribers. I've only done this because I personally enjoy it and I know it helps people. That's why. And that's what's fueled me to keep me going. If you want to start a YouTube channel just because you want to make money, you're probably not going to do it for very long. Where do you start? Here's some things you can do this week. Set aside 30 uninterrupted minutes for what I call a definition audit. Look at your current goals and aspirations and ask yourself one simple question. Whose voice first suggested this was important? Write down your answer honestly. You might be surprised how many of your goals originated from others' expectations rather than your own desires. Parents, peers, teachers, random people on social media. Forget what they want. Do what you want. For any goal that doesn't feel fully yours, ask yourself, what would success in this area look like if I were the only person who ever knew about it? This simple shift starts reclaiming your definition of success. What would success look like if I were the only person who ever knew about it? That's powerful because if you're the only person that ever knows a result, then that means the result matters to you. It can't be judged by somebody else because they never see it. So this starts to shift your thinking. If you enjoyed this and you want to learn more, check out my newsletter, Seeding Thoughts. It's free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You can subscribe to that below. I have a lot more videos like this coming on this channel. There's some past videos which you can check out. And remember, you have the rare freedom to define success on your own terms. Don't waste that freedom by unconsciously adopting someone else's definition of success. Your most meaningful actions and achievements are the ones that align with who you truly want to be. What story are you trying to write for your life and your work? Thanks for watching. I hope it helped. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.